Alive on the Moon, Jaro. It's on the pen alive with your host David Knapp.
Thank you, clap, track, and happy Thursday night. I'm Dave Knapp, ManOnMounjaro. That's why I'm here. You are on the pen. Wegovy, Saxenda, Victoza, Trulicity, Mounjaro, Zepbound, Compound. That pen is what we talk about here every single week. Episode 78 of On the Pen Live. It's so good to be with you here tonight. Mimi, welcome. Corey, welcome. Karen, welcome. J-Neb, Sue the Dude, Fridays, Anna, welcome. Thank you for being here. So good to be with you. So good to do this every Thursday night, rain or shine. I hope you're all doing well tonight. We've got a great show tonight for you. This is a TikTok sensation. Tonight, we have a special guest, Jack Lemay will be here to join us on the Pen. People have been talking about it all over the internet all day, checking out Jack's flight tracker, trying to make sure that they knew where he was at. Guess what? He's here. He's on the Pen. So thank you for tuning in here, which, you know, what happens here, I don't want to poo-poo anything that's going on in society, but nothing is more important than what is going on here at On the Pen tonight. So Jack Lemay, TikTok GLP-1 sensation, here tonight. So excited to be with you all. Hey, we've got some new people in the chat. If you're new here, drop an N in the chat for new. Let me know that you're new here. I'd like to welcome you by name. But also make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. That just helps get this out into the rest of the World Wide Web. So like I said, we've got a great show tonight. I am super excited to have Jackson here to talk a little bit about his journey and his content creation. Excited to have new folks in here like Megan, Candy, Connie. Good to have you here. Thank you for being here. We got some OGs in the house too, so appreciate y'all being here. We've got some great housekeeping stuff to get into, but we can't do that without rolling the housekeeping bumper.
Housekeeping.
All right, housekeeping. We're going to do it a little bit differently this week because I recorded these ones. So give myself a little talking break tonight. I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Dave. If you are aware by now, I have been hard at work on the GLP-1 Pen book. This book, I just want to give you a little idea of what the heart behind it is and what you can expect from it. On the GLP-1 Pen is designed to be a book that you can read for yourself and yes, learn a little bit more about the medications that are changing our lives, learn a little bit about my own personal journey and my own anecdotes in there. But more than anything, the heart behind this book is that you would pass it on to a loved one, a friend, someone that either you would like to understand more about the journey that you're on and what it's like to live with obesity and how life-changing these medications are, or maybe it's somebody that you feel like could benefit from a GLP-1 and you're just not quite sure how to embrace that conversation. On the GLP-1 book is designed to be just that. We're wrapping up the final stages of editing right now, and it will be available for the holidays. What I'd like you to do, if you're interested in this book, is to go over to OnThePen.com and just sign up for email alerts. As soon as this book drops, you'll be the first to know, and you'll have the chance to order this book as soon as it comes out. Thank you all for supporting what we're doing at On the Pen. We're so excited for this project, and we can't wait to bring you the On the GLP-1 book. Of On the Pen, we have been nominated for 3 Iowa Podcast Awards, and you get to help choose the People's Choice Award. If you're interested in helping us get to the top of the voting for the People's Choice Awards for the 2024 Iowa Podcast Awards, I'm going to show you just how to do that. Find the link in the description. It's iowapodcastawards.com/vote. Ignore the notification at the top. That's just about submissions being closed. Scroll down, tick the box next to On the Pen, the weekly dose, and scroll down again where you'll click on vote, and your vote will be submitted. You can vote 1 time per IP address. How about that? That was a little bit easier than rolling through the same thing every week just to play those. Hope you're all sticking with me. Happy to have you here. Hey, want to give a special shout out to our sponsor of On the Pen Live, Row Body. You can check them out at row.co/OTP for On the Pen. That's row.co/OTP. Their Row Body program combines diet, lifestyle changes, and modifications plus access to a medical professional who can connect you with medications when medically appropriate, like GLP-1 medications, which are helping patients lose 10 to 15%, up to 20% of their body weight on average. Just an amazing, amazing program. I've been on it here for a couple weeks now. Really appreciate my friends at Row. Matter of fact, see, I got some stuff here. They've got some excellent stuff like testosterone support and some hair support thing for some of you dudes who may be unfortunately like me watching that hairline go farther and farther back. So Row Body is a great program. Really, really encourage you to check them out and let them know on their socials that you appreciate them supporting On The Pen Live. Of course, they're sponsoring the podcast as well. And I am a community advisor over at Row now. And so if you have suggestions of things you'd like to see from Row, of course, they've put out some great tools for the community, like the GLP-1 supply tracker tool, like the insurance checker tool. Those are both amazing tools linked in the description of this video and every video that I do. Awesome tools for the community. So check it out. That's row.co/OTP. We're going to keep it moving right along tonight. We're going to talk about what's fresh in the world of GLP-1s. So we're going to roll that beautiful bumper in a second, if I can find it. There we are. So what's fresh? So I want to kind of throw it back to the community tonight. There's a couple topics that we can talk about for sure. One would be the prediabetes study. Right? The prediabetes study. One would be the future of compounds. So if you want to talk about the study, put study in the chat. If you want to talk about compounds, put compounds in the chat. Or if you've got a topic of your own that you'd like to talk about tonight, let me know. But I wanted to kind of leave it up to you. I'm sort of sick of talking about both of them, to be totally honest with you. But I think that they are both worthy of conversation. I've just put out a lot of content on both of them. So Jay wants to hear about the study. Cherry wants to hear about the study. Sabrina wants to hear about the study. It sounds like the study is what everybody wants to hear about. So we'll talk about the study. So this is an amazing study. It's a continuation of the Surmount study. So for those of you who want to talk about compounds, I've done several videos on those in the last few days and weeks. And so I highly recommend you go back and check those out because we've done a ton of talking about those over the last few weeks. We've covered them very, very closely, including obviously the cease and desist letters. But this all started with sort of the Eli Lilly removing tirzepatide from the shortage list, and then the announcement of release the vials, then the cease and desist letters. Now I feel like we're back to sort of an equilibrium and kind of waiting for the next shoe to drop. We'll see what happens with that. But for now, it seems as if compounds are safe. But if you'd like to sort of stay up to date, OnThePen.com is going to be a great resource for you. So let's talk about this study. It was a continuation of the Surmount 1 study, right? And this was not a flash in the pan study. This was a serious study. This was a 3-year study. In fact, it was the longest study that has ever been done for tirzepatide. This was done in 1,032 adults with prediabetes and obesity or overweight. So you had to tick the box of being overweight or having obesity and being pre-diabetic. And these findings are absolutely game-changing. Folks on the highest dose, 15 milligrams of tirzepatide, saw an average weight loss of almost 23%, 22.9% over 3 years. Just for context, the placebo group barely moved the needle in weight loss with a 2.1% weight loss. That is a significant number. And here's where it gets even better. Tirzepatide reduced the risk of progressing to type 2 diabetes by a whopping 94%. Let that sink in. 94% reduction in the development of type 2 diabetes compared to placebo. We're talking about a complete halt on that march to type 2 diabetes. That is a game changer. And so when you think about the need for a tool in the arsenal of a medical professional and a patient to avoid somebody getting type 2 diabetes, there is no more compelling data out there than this 94% reduction in prediabetes for those on tirzepatide over a 3-year period. Now, sort of the last few months of this study, people went off the medication, and what was observed that the benefit went away. You even saw somebody actually continue, some folks continue on towards type 2 diabetes, also with the weight creeping back up. So obviously just, another sort of, example of how these are likely lifelong medications for most people, especially those facing the chronic disease of obesity and type 2 diabetes. But the great news is we have something. Just an absolutely astounding study from the SURMOUNT-1 trials. This is amazing. You think about, there are nearly 1 billion people worldwide that suffer with obesity. And so you're just, we are so hopeful with each study that comes out, and for the future of the medications like orforglipron, which will come out in a couple of years here, which will be a pill. They can scale that up. We're talking about the world hopefully gaining access to these medications. You're talking about Viking Therapeutics with their VK2735, an oral GLP-1 GIP co-agonist, where they're seeing tremendous weight loss. You've seen stuff in the news lately about Roche Pharmaceutical with some pipeline. There's well over 100 obesity medicines in the pipeline between stage 1 and stage 3. And so just amazing future for GLP-1s. Of course, we want to see the price go down. All of us want to see that. And honestly, the compounds are going to be a critical part of that because the shortages will be around. And hopefully we see the market drive down even the price of compounds in the future because, there needs to be competition there as well. And so we'll have to see what happens with that. But of course, the future of obesity medicine, to borrow one of Sina Aram's repeated phrases, is the future is bright when it comes to obesity medicine. So that's the SURMOUNT-1 trial. Amazing news. We're going to keep it rolling because we got some fake news to say. We're going to take out the trash on this Thursday. That's what we do. You guys heard of this new GLP-1 dropper goes on your tongue? I was just sent this article tonight from my mother-in-law. This medicine is called Veranvi. You can see here it's listed next to these brand name medication, and it looks to be so much cheaper. And guess what? Way less side effects. They even included video from the Oprah special with members from our community. Here's the problem. It's completely bogus. Even though it looks like it comes from ABC News, it comes from this goofy website, presumably a Chinese website. It's attempting to con people into ordering this and basically just stealing your credit card information. Probably you're not going to get this. There are even other versions I've seen pop up on Amazon, like this one here, that actually has the audacity to list GLP-1 as an ingredient inside of it. Listen, don't mess around with this stuff because we have no idea if they're going to put GLP-1 as an ingredient in this dropper. We have no idea what's inside that. So now more than ever, it's important to follow this channel. We're going to stay on top of everything new that comes out. You'll know about it way before it pops up on a bootleg Facebook ad, whether it's legit or not. So like, save, share, and send this to a friend who might find this helpful. And if you're on the Meta platforms, be extremely vigilant. Yes, definitely. If you are on the Meta platforms, I ran just a little study of my own the other night, laying in bed. I put 1 minute on the clock, 1 minute on the clock in a Facebook scroll. And in 1 minute of just scrolling continuously, I hit 12 advertisements for any combination of compound GLP-1, gray market GLP-1, or a product that was claiming to be able to do what GLP-1 can do. So this was one that I screenshotted for you all here. This is just classic. Ozempic power in a drink. No, it's not. No, it's not. So 12 in 1 minute. The meta ads are just running unabated. It's crazy what they're getting away with running on there, especially when you consider that legitimate compound pharmacies, legitimate telehealth providers are having trouble getting their ads through. But some of this nonsense that can go through unabated. I know I shared just a couple of weeks ago, I shared an image here. I don't know if I have that anymore or not. Oh yeah, this is crazy. New TERS patch, pre-order now. I shouldn't even be advertising who that is, but tirzepatide patches. You're seeing oral dissolving tablets, things that are nowhere near any clinical trial, and they're just throwing this stuff out to the market, and it's absolutely wild out there. So yeah, it's the wild, wild west in terms of what's allowed to proliferate on the Meta platform. So be vigilant out there. Well, that brings me to tonight's special guest. And I'm super, super excited about this one because this is one of those channels on TikTok. Again, I'm not a huge consumer of social media, but when I do, I feel like that meme of that one guy, who is it, like the smartest man in the world or whatever. He's like, I don't do this, but when I do, I don't consume much TikTok content, but when I do, it's Jack Lemay's content. He makes absolutely amazing content. We got to get him. It's another one that we got to convince to get over here on YouTube. But he's tonight's hot channel. But before Jack, before we roll the bumper, we got a little something for you. So sit back and enjoy.
Friend Miley would say, you came in like a wrecking ball. It's been a year and you've been just knocking down barriers, whether it's been to access for others or perceptions about how people in this community traverse these journeys. I'm just so proud of you for all of your amazing work and the love you've shared over the course of your first year on a GLP-1. I'm absolutely excited to see what the future holds for you, and I'm deeply honored to be part of the family that gets to be here to cheer you on.
Happy 1 year, my Jackie Boo Bear. I love and adore you so freaking much. You are the sweetest and kindest soul. I am so lucky and grateful to have you in my life. I've seen you grow and blossom so much in the past 8-9 months that we've known each other, and I can't wait to see you just become even more confident and more handsome and more beautiful than you already are. I'm so proud of you, and I love you. Mwah.
Jackson, congratulations on your 1 year Mounjaro-versary. I am so proud of you. Thank you for doing all that you have done for us, for the community. Thank you for being such a great friend. And thank you for being a pivotal part in my success on my journey. So keep it up, man. I appreciate you. Love ya.
Young Jack, happy 1 year Mounjaro-versary, buddy. I'm grateful to have you as a friend. I remember we met maybe about a year or so ago. You were a little nervous to put out your first piece of content, wondering what it should be about. And look at you now. Everything you put out is amazing. You're vulnerable, you're kind, you're hilarious. And the community is so lucky to have you. I think you know this, but we've talked about this. The way that you present yourself and the way that you give yourself, you're changing lives, not only your own, but many of the lives that you touch. So I'm grateful for your friendship, man. I'm very, very happy for you. And this is to many more years of friendship.
Holy Jackson, a year? I remember in January when I first started, you were one of the first people that I met in this community, and it was a very different person. You were quiet and shy, and you didn't want to turn on your camera a whole lot. And now look at you, an absolute GLP-1 alumni, royalty, and maintenance, being interviewed by Dave on the pen. You deserve all the success in this world. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations on your 1 year Mounjaro-versary.
Jack, way to make a difference in the community. I think people have really enjoyed not only your vulnerability and your willingness to share virtually every facet of your journey, but you do it in a unique way and you're hilarious. Congratulations on your 1 year Mounjaro-versary. So glad that you're spending a little bit of it with us here at OnThePen, and we're so excited to have you on the show. All right, Jack.
Jeez.
Happy
Wow.
1 year. But
Why
I don't
you have
want
to do it to me, Dave?
We had to do it to you. I had a little help with that one. I do not want to deprive you, though. Tonight's hot channel, Jack Lemay.
Hot channel.
So welcome to OnThePen, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you all for all that. That was a lot.
So I saw your video this morning. So for those of you who do not traverse TikTok, Jack put out a video today. Today is Jack's 1 year Mounjaro anniversary. And so he put out a video about that and just the sort of emotional side. I believe you did a stitch from a video that you did a year ago. And as soon as I realized that it was your 1 year anniversary, it's like, well, we got to celebrate that with him tonight on the show. And so I called up a friend. I said, hey, can you help me kind of get some of Jack's friends together? And they came through. And so we were able to put that together. So first of all, congratulations on 1 year. Tell us a little bit about like how far you've come in the last year. Like everybody, introduce yourself to the YouTube world and let us know where you came from.
So over the last year, I have lost 65 pounds on Mounjaro, but it's so much more than the number on the scale. My blood work is normal for the first time in my life that I can remember. My A1C is out of pre-diabetic range, and we just talked about that study, 94% reversal of prediabetes. I'm in that percentage. Obviously, I wasn't in that study, but I'm another person that reversed it. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, and just overall mental fatigue. I mean, a year ago, I was just going through the motions. I felt so beat down, and I felt like every single time that I stepped on the scale, it's like the numbers were going up and everything was trending in the wrong direction. And I couldn't get that noise under control. And that's when I talked to my provider, and I was like, something's got to give. Like, my blood work was getting worse progressively over time. I was like, something's got to change. I was like, I can't control my hunger. Like, I couldn't control it. And I had lost a significant amount of weight before. And even when I was trying to diet and when I was trying to eat right, it's like the binging, it just kept coming in, and I just couldn't get it under control. So she prescribed me a medication called Contrave, and Contrave made me very sick. It wasn't a good medication for me. It literally made me have tremors in my 3rd week. And I told my provider, I was like, I have to stop. Like, I can't do this anymore. And it just so happened I'm scrolling TikTok that day, and I found JT, the flight attendant. And she's talking about GLPs, and she's talking about Mounjaro. And I didn't even know how to spell Mounjaro, but I went into the search bar as soon as that live ended, and I typed in MonJiro. I didn't even know how to spell it. And I just soaked in all this content, and I found Candace, and I found Losing It with Annie, and I found you, and I found Kim, and I found all these other amazing creators in the space, and Rachel, and I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and B, and I just jumped head first. I messaged my provider, and that week I had a PA approved for Mounjaro, and I haven't looked back since. And
that's amazing.
It's just been amazing.
That's awesome, dude. Well, first of all, congratulations. I didn't mean to super jump the gun on your story, but I wanted to give everybody just a little bit of idea of where you've come in that last year. And so congratulations, man. That is a ton of progress. It's honestly, your story is why I continue to do, have continued to do OnThePen, despite my own challenges with my own health and because it's like stories like yours. So you're like, I found JT, the Mounjaro flight attendant. Well, guess what? JT, the Mounjaro flight attendant, was watching on YouTube before she went over to TikTok OnThePen. And so like the cool thing is that I think about content creation, especially early on in what I call like the advent of these medications, is that we're trailblazers, but we're like GLP-1 evangelists. Like, one person shares, it gives another person the feeling like they can share. And so like, and I'm not saying that I'm the reason that JT started doing content. I have no idea, but I know that she followed OnThePen. She was one of the early followers of OnThePen. And there's, like Sabrina says in the chat, like we were talking about this on the plus sides a couple weeks ago. There's a ripple effect. Like, and so now you're creating content. You got people in this chat tonight that love you, that love the content that you make, because your content makes a difference in their life. And so it's like we just one of us starts to share what we have learned, and it empowers the next person down the line. It's so cool to see that kind of unfold. And that's why I love having creators like you on to share about what you're doing. Like, cause you've been around the block now for a year, so it's not like you're brand new to it, but like to see people like you who are having such success and sharing your message successfully also is super, super cool. So tell us, Jack, like, if you don't mind, like, what was your journey to obesity? Is weight something that you struggled with your whole life, or was it something that sort of you started to struggle with later on? Like, tell me a little bit about your journey pre-medication.
Yeah. So, first off, I was born a preemie, and I was very sickly as a child. So I was on and off high doses of prednisone throughout my entire childhood. I have asthma, so I was constantly sick, in and out of the hospital my entire first year of my life. I don't know if you've heard on the Plus Sides podcast, but I said I literally slept in the closet the first year of my life because it was the only ceiling in my family's house that didn't have a vaulted ceiling. So it was the only flat ceiling, and I had to stay in there for purposes so that I could breathe with machines and stuff. So, you know, my entire childhood, I struggled with my weight. I think steroids had a massive effect on the way that I ate and my habits. And I played sports. I played soccer. I played football. I played basketball, and it didn't matter what I did. I mean, literally through middle school, I played for 2 different football teams. So I'd go from one practice straight to another, and then I would go home, do my shower, do my homework, and go to bed. I would wake up and I would do early workouts before school, do my school day, and then do practices again. It's like I couldn't have been more active my entire childhood, and it just, it felt like I always had something against me, something holding me back. And so when I graduated high school, I was around 300 pounds. I put a significant amount of weight on after I got up to 340 at my highest weight. And I met someone that got me into CrossFit, and I really started doing these workouts that were very intensive, but I was restricting my calories very, very strictly as well. And it became a really unhealthy habit where I was restricting so far, and if the scale was not moving in the direction I wanted it to move, then I was restricting even further, or I wasn't going to eat, so it became a really unhealthy habit that, on this journey, I really tried to stay away from the scale. I didn't want to step on the scale, more than once a week or twice a week. And so this was a completely different health journey for me. But,
wow.
Yeah.
So I hadn't heard that part of your story before, and thank you for sharing it here. So a lot of parallels that I can relate to. I had a bone cyst I was probably about 10 years old, and had to go on some really intensive steroid treatments it was like, so this is your femur bone right here.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole area was like hollowed out, completely hollowed out. And so like any real bad impact there would have shattered that femur. And so it was like real intensive steroids. And then they locked me up in a cast that went from the bottom of my leg all the way up. This is stuff I got to go back and add to the book now. I'm just remembering.
Yeah.
But like up and around my waist. And I can remember like that was when I first started to put on a little bit of pudge. I didn't struggle with it until about that point in my life, because like you, I was super, super active, playing outside, running around with neighbor kids, in all the sports, doing all the things. And just sort of slowly, it felt like kind of the same way you described it. Like, didn't matter what I did, it just kind of kept creeping up. I didn't get up to 300 pounds until I was probably in my early 30s. Right. But it was like, it was a constant 25 down, 30 up, 25 down, 30 up, all the way up to 300. And so that is super interesting. And then another element that you shared is how you sort of have let Mounjaro change your mindset, and how you haven't obsessed. So I too joined CrossFit in 2015. Same exact story. I mean, I was pushing myself harder than I'd ever pushed myself physically. I loved it. I loved to see what I was accomplishing, but I wasn't there to get strong. I was there to get not fat.
Yeah.
And I was there to see the scale go down, just like anything I've ever done, just try to be not fat. And same thing, restricting like 1,200 calories a day. And when I wouldn't see the results, I just beat myself up. Like I'm like at 1,300 calories, I'm still eating too much, you know, and that's crazy. That's not a sustainable or healthy way to live for anyone, especially, you know, a guy my size. And so when Mounjaro came along, I was the same way. I'm like, I'm done with the scale. I'm done being owned by this mindset. And I just want something to fix whatever's broken. And so I can identify with so much of what you're saying and how you share that. Now, you said that you're not diabetic, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah. So how did that process of getting on Mounjaro work for you? Like, you got the PA, like that seems like because you've only been on it for a year now, which is only like this time last year was when all the savings card stuff was changing and everything. Like, how did that process work for you? How were you able to get on it?
I got very, very lucky with my timing because my PBM was covering it at the time for obesity prior to Zepbound coming out. So I was very lucky with the way that my provider worded my PA. She also stated my autoimmune condition. I have a condition called eosinophilic esophagitis where my eosinophils basically attack my esophagus. It's hard to explain, but so basically, I deal with a lot of swelling. I used to deal with a lot of swelling. Actually, Mounjaro's helped that as well. So didn't really mention that, but yeah, I used to really struggle like swallowing anything. I remember in like 7th or 8th grade, I swallowed a piece of chicken and it literally got stuck in my throat and I had to get it surgically removed.
Gosh.
So yeah, that was miserable, but yeah, I got the PA approved for 3 years. Sadly, my insurance is probably going to change at the end of this year. So I'm likely going to lose coverage. But you know what? Compound is the backup if it's still a thing. So, and stockpiling is also the backup.
So the upside for you is that you're in maintenance now. Mm-hmm. And so what is that? I mean, so let's just sort of play this out. Like at the end of the year, let's say you cannot get Mounjaro tirzepatide branded anymore. Let's say the compound's gone away. Like what then for you?
I think I would probably go with compounded sema, to be honest. I think that like some level of GLP, you know, I've never been on semaglutide, so I can't really say how I would feel or how it would affect me. Honestly, for me, like, and I genuinely feel this way, like if it was 100% GIP, that would be everything to me. Like, I just need it to work on this part of me. I truly believe that because the brain is 99% of my struggle, I think. So yeah, I think I would go for sema, but you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So I think the positive thing for folks like you in your position right now that are in maintenance is that there are options, non-tirzepatide options that hopefully are out there that may help you, whether that would be the upper end dose of like a liraglutide or compound semaglutide or whatever it may be. But I mean, the good news is there is actually a generic GLP-1, and maybe by the time you get there, maybe it will be beneficial. But I do understand what you're saying is like, and that is what people typically universally across all my platforms, I'm sure you see the same thing, is like that GIP component to tirzepatide just shuts off the brain, that part of the brain that goes, I need to eat, the part that you're thinking about what you're going to eat while you're eating. And so, yeah, I mean, I can understand. And I feel for people in that position too, because I think it's probably a bit terrifying to think about all the progress you've made. You finally found it. And now what if it goes away? And so one of the things that we're going to be focusing on here at OnThePen is just getting to more of these conversations about maintenance, because there's so many people now, these drugs having been out, especially tirzepatide now for a couple of years, that are getting to that point where they have lost the weight. So now there's a certain amount of panic that sort of sets in when you're talking about, just struggling to continue to get it through insurance or compounds going away or whatever. These can be sort of terrifying conversations, but glad to know that you're open to taking semaglutide, because the thing that I keep trying to reiterate to friends of OnThePen is like semaglutide is a great medication too. And many people on that drug also report less food noise, although I would contend, having been on both, it's just more of a blunt object. Like it's like, I don't want to eat. I don't want to eat. Too full to eat. Instead of just not obsessing about it. So you finally find what you needed all along, shuts off the food noise. Within a matter of a year, you're down to your goal weight. At what point in your journey did you go, I want to start making content, I want to start sharing my story?
So I went to a meetup in January for the Plus Size podcast, and I really had no intention on making content at all. I posted memes, and that's all I posted. So I did a lot of my journey not even like posting anything except for memes about the pharmacy not having the medication, and that was my content. That was the extent. I wasn't on camera. So from that meetup, Cena talked to JT and thought that I was like possibly someone in the community because I had a suit on and I looked nice, and so he was like, "Who is this person?" And Cena reached out to me, and I had always been in the chats, and I had always been like helping people, talking about like access and what questions to ask insurance, and similar to what Tay does for everyone. You know what I mean? So I was just I was helping in the chat, and Cena saw that, and he was like, you know what, you should really make content. So he told me, and I was like, okay, I don't know how to do this. And he literally like showed me how to make like my first piece of content and walked me through it. And so I have a lot to say to Cena. Like, Cena is amazing. He's been so helpful on my journey, and I don't think that I would not have a platform at all probably if he didn't reach out that day. So very thankful for him. So
yeah, he's a good dude. Absolutely a good dude. And that's a cool story. Obviously the Plus Side's doing great things. I love these meetups that are popping up. Just somebody this week or last week just reached out to me to send some swag stuff to them, like all these goofy things that I get printed off, like stickers and stuff.
Cool.
But yeah, these meetups are popping up all over the country, and I would love to have one of my own here. If I can get somebody to come to Iowa, or anybody to come to Iowa, that would be kind of fun. So very cool, man. I'm glad like that you were able to take that leap and start sharing your story, because you have a compelling story, and just really powerful. I mean, it's just another one of those, file that in the bank of like somebody who just tried everything. You just needed the playing field to be leveled. And that's what these medications do. They just level the metabolic playing field, give you a fighting chance. Donna with a $49.99 super chat. Thank you very much, Donna. I very much appreciate that. Very generous of you. Thank you so much. So I want to, VS says, what is Cena? Cena is the what do you say, like co-founder of a telehealth company that Jack works with. So yeah, Cena's a great dude. He's become a great friend of mine over the last year or longer. So yeah, he's a very, very good guy. So yeah, I guess what I want to do now is open up sort of the chat. If you don't mind taking some questions, if anybody has any questions for you, because I feel like anytime we get somebody who's like in maintenance or close to being in maintenance, like I feel like these are where the conversations are at with a lot of our audience on OnThePen, because I've had a lot of people that have been with me now for 2 years, and a good chunk of those people, they're there. They've gotten to where they need to be. And so I'm curious, for those of you who are in the chat tonight, if anyone has any questions for Jack about how he's traversing maintenance, how he's trying to figure out, between the combination of diet and titration of medication. And I'll just kind of kick it off. So like you're there, like what is your plan right now? So you have access to the medication. What dose are you on now? And sort of what have you and your doctor sort of kind of come to for the plan for the next few months?
I'm on 10 milligram, and that's what's worked best for me. You
Is
know,
that where you maxed out? Did you go up higher than that?
yeah, that's the highest dose I went to. To be honest, I'm scared to go any higher, even if I wanted to. I think 10 was a great dose where 10 was the first dose where I felt like maybe I possibly had like a level of fatigue involved. And it wasn't like I checked my calories, I made sure I was like nourishing my body enough and getting enough energy, but I kind of just felt like out of it a little bit. But you know, I've been on this dose for a while and I don't have any side effects really at all. So but yeah, I'm on 10 milligrams, 7 to 10 days in between doses, has really worked for me. But I'll be honest, those last 3 days are kind of a struggle. But that's what we're doing. And I'm in between 185 and 190 roundabouts. So that's kind of the goal I'm trying to stay in.
Yeah. Awesome. And so with that 10 working, you're just going to camp out there until
Yeah, but
yeah.
if any pharmacies have any dose, I'm gonna pick them up if I can. So I'll pick up whatever dose I can, to be honest.
There you go. Yeah, get what you can. So Cutie Pie wants to know, with maintenance right around the corner for her, what should she look forward to? And I think, you know, kind of to piggyback on the question, I think she's kind of said like what she should be thinking about as she approaches maintenance.
I think, and I'll just speak from my perspective, it was finding a healthy balance of not over obsessing over that number. Because once you hit the goal, you're no longer seeing like the trend go down, but you may see it go up and down and up and down and up and down, and that's normal. So for me personally, I did like a 5-6 pound range, and yes, give yourself a fluctuation, exactly what Chris said. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. It's now, because I'm in maintenance, I've increased my calories, because prior I was in a calorie deficit trying to lose weight. So now that I'm where I'm at, I had to increase my calories so I'm not continuing to lose. And I'm not like against losing a little bit more potentially, but I'm at a healthy range where I feel like I'm good. My provider feels like I'm good, and be kind to yourself. I think we're really, really hard on ourselves, and do what's healthy for your mental health. So don't step on that scale too much if that's overwhelming to you.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice. I think it can't be understated. The thing that I hear by and large from everybody who's in maintenance or working in very close towards it is to have a range. Don't have a number in mind, because you're going to land within a range, and you want to just stay within that range. Otherwise, you're going to obsess about it. Jay wants to know what you wish you had learned prior to reaching maintenance. Is there anything that you can think of?
I think that I'm never going to have the Zac Efron body that I want. Truly. But I think that it gives me a new goal to work towards, right?
What about his face?
Not the new face. Have you seen after he got the jaw surgery? No, not the new face. No. So, yeah, I think now I kind of have a new goal to strive for, and kind of working on toning and physiquing the body. But yeah, I wish I would have done a little bit more of the resistance training through my journey. I did do resistance training, but I wish I would have done more.
Okay. I think that's another common thing that I hear from people who hit maintenance is they're like, now I feel like I have a ton of work to make up for because I wasn't doing any resistance along the way, building muscle. And now I've got this loose skin that I want to fill with muscle. And so it sort of becomes this next obsession, right? Which I think you want to try to avoid. I think you want to try to be on sort of a stable a stable journey where you're not having to do extremes all the time, because
Yeah, yeah.
eventually that's going to burn you out. But if you can do just a little resistance along the way, I think that's really great advice. Lynn says, how have you dealt with friends and family? She has some that want her to be healthy, but don't understand the calorie deficit part. So they want me to eat with them all the time when I'm not hungry.
So I'll say it's not that difficult with my family because most of my family is on GLPs.
Because you're an evangelist.
Yeah. So my mom has completely changed her life with Mounjaro, now tirzepatide. My dad is on Wegovy, going to semaglutide. My sister-in-law is on Zepbound, and my brother is on Zepbound. So, everyone pretty much in my immediate family is on a GLP because we all struggle with obesity. We all struggle with insulin resistance and other health and comorbidities. So, I think that for my dad, and I do want to say this because we're both guys, so I think that it's kind of a different story for us. It's a lot more difficult for guys, I think, to come to terms with like seeking help, and this translates over to like mental health as well. And I think for my dad, I think it took him a little bit of seeing my mom get results and do so well, and see me do so well on these medications for him to like bite the bullet and start on a GLP. So I don't know. I think that more men need to be vulnerable, and more men need to share their journey if they can, or share parts of it, because I think it's really, really important. Men struggle with cardiovascular health, and these medications could help substantially. Sleep apnea and so many other conditions.
Yeah, they all sort of feed off each other, right? If you have sleep apnea and it goes untreated, it can lead to heart conditions. If you have pre-existing heart conditions and you have sleep apnea, it can worsen it. And these drugs have been shown to help both, and not just tirzepatide, but semaglutide too, because they've been the trailblazer. GLP-1 has been the trailblazer in this whole journey. And so you see the select trials from the upper doses of Wegovy showing that it's a huge reduction in major cardiovascular events. So yeah, and I'm the same way as you. Like everybody in my family, even the ones who aren't super overweight, I'm like pretty much everybody could benefit at this point from being on a GLP-1 because the food environment in this country is so jacked up. The food is so bad in this country, especially convenience foods and they just wreak havoc on our metabolism. And so there's very few of us that are really, truly metabolically all that healthy. And I'm pretty convinced just in my own brain that there's many, many people could benefit from these, not just the super obese. So yeah, I think that's great advice. And to Sue the dude's point, he said, one thing that you can do if you're struggling with family members is to hand them a copy of my book. And honestly, it's a funny comment, but it's honestly the heart behind the book that I'm writing is like, I know that there are so many people like that struggle with having those conversations with their loved ones, because everybody's mind immediately goes to fen. Everybody's mind immediately goes to unsafe places. Like you're taking a medicine that's dangerous. And it's like, it couldn't be more opposite. Like just given the last 3 minutes of our conversation, these medications have been proven to stop diabetes in 94% of the people who are pre-diabetic that take them. They've been shown to reverse sleep apnea in over 50% of the people that take them. This is the first drug ever to reverse, to resolve, to fix sleep apnea. I'm not talking about a CPAP that treats it and helps you breathe at night. It reverses sleep apnea and obstructive sleep apnea in over 50% of the people who take it. Osteoarthritis trials are coming. It's GIP. There's receptors in your bones for GIP, which is primarily what Mounjaro is. It's a GIP receptor agonist with a GLP-1 kicker. They're going to show for sure that there's improvements in osteoarthritis, the heart failure studies, and not to mention the fact that this last week, I don't know if you saw this, Jack. I know you nerd out about this stuff the same way that I do, but this last week, Eli Lilly made a major announcement that they're making huge investments into immunology. So when you talk about autoimmune disease, and did you say your throat one was an autoimmune disease? Mm-hmm. So yeah, so immunology is a huge growth market for Lilly, they see they just bought an immunology company, and they're going to look at combining tirzepatide with existing treatments like Taltz for psoriasis. They're talking about doing studies for irritable bowel disease. We're going to see that these have implications that are so far-reaching, and it all goes back to our gut health. I'm convinced of that. I think the more that OnThePen goes on, the less we're going to be talking about this, and the more we're going to be talking about just gut health, because I think gut health, it's where all these hormones are made, and we're just jacked up, right? We're just by the way, Jacked Up. That's the name of your podcast, TM. When Jack comes out with a podcast, it'll be Jacked Up. But I mean, I'm convinced that gut health is a huge piece of the puzzle. And if we could get that right, then maybe we wouldn't even need this stuff, right? But immunology is the next sort of frontier in these medications, and I'm excited as a husband of a wife with rheumatoid arthritis. She was diagnosed at 10 years old with rheumatoid arthritis. She's been on a biologic her entire life. I think she would benefit greatly from these medications too. And I think we'll see studies in rheumatoid arthritis as well down the line. So I'm super excited for the future of these medications, because I really think, again, almost everybody in this country, if you get down to the numbers, most everybody would benefit from some level of treatment with these for right now. So
I think also PCOS would be an amazing indication. I really hope that they try to seek that, because I see time and time again so many people in my chat struggle with PCOS. And what does PCOS make you higher risk for? Type 2 diabetes, obesity, and heart-related issues. The three indications that these medications are already approved for, and they can't. Sometimes people can't get it for PCOS. It's really terrible.
So I would say if there's one condition that people are constantly telling me they need to do trials on this, it would be PCOS. The only thing that I don't know, like I'm not like well versed in what PCOS is, but and maybe they can help us out in the chat. Like, is it hard to diagnose? Because there's got to be some reason that they go the payoff isn't there, because obviously they're going to run these studies, because the studies are going to expand the label, which is going to expand the bottom line. There has to be a reason with so many women who have PCOS. Is it just ambiguous and hard to diagnose? There must be a reason why. Maybe one of our doctor friends in the chat has some insight, or maybe you do, maybe you've looked into it, but that's the only thing I could sort of come up with.
I think anecdotally from a lot of what I hear is that a lot of my friends go undiagnosed for a significant amount of time. So that could potentially be why.
So Wannabe Farm Girl says, not hard to diagnose PCOS. Cysts on your ovaries are easy to see on an ultrasound. So is it as simple as that? Like if you have ovarian cysts, which I think is like many women, if not most, that means you have it. So I just don't, it's not difficult. Look at so yeah. I mean, the women in the chat are coming through. Yeah. Donna says she sees patients every day that would benefit from GLPs, and access is the problem. Yeah. So if access is the problem, you would think that a PCOS trial would be a slam dunk. So I don't know. Maybe it's like, I know that with like the MASH studies. So that's another thing. We talk about the studies for fatty liver and whatever MASH stands for. It's almost as bad as your throat thing to pronounce. But those are really expensive trials to do. So again, you're talking about like the payoff. What's the payoff for the pharmaceutical company? With the MASH trials, like right now, they're not sure they're going to take tirzepatide to phase 3, even though phase 2s like showed really good results. They're basically in their earnings call saying to take them to phase 3, they're going to have to come to some sort of consensus with the FDA on how to do that, where they don't have to take liver biopsies constantly from people.
Yeah.
Because it's, when you talk about a study of tens of thousands of people potentially in a phase 3 trial, it's too expensive to do. And so I don't know if PCOS sort of has some of those same hurdles. People are talking about ultrasounds, but ultrasound is obviously way less invasive and cheaper than than a MASH study. So I don't know. It's a great question. If I ever get the chance to talk to Dave Ricks again, I should ask him if they're going to. I don't think he's going to ever call me again after that. After that,
Ask him if
that
I
was
can,
one and done.
ask him if I can hold 100.
I always like people will be like, Dave Ricks is on CNBC right now, and I'm like, is he talking about me?
Yeah.
I just wonder if he
know.
thinks about me.
You never know. I feel like they have to have some sort of presence on TikTok. They have to, right?
They're at least choosing what hashtags they can squash.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've got some level of, they have to. And anyway, we could get into conspiracy talk real quick with that, but
we should be fine. They haven't silenced bathtub peptide yet, so
yeah,
good.
Right. You should just make up an account and just see what you can get away with. Just start selling TikTok shop Reddit True Side. Just see how long that account lasts. You might grow to like 80,000 in like 2 weeks, and
yeah.
Now what do I do?
Maybe.
Well, this has been a fun conversation, man. I really, really appreciate it. Mink says PCOS was named incorrectly because it is a metabolic syndrome. Main issue is insulin resistance. I do know that insulin resistance is one of those markers in PCOS. I just didn't know how it was necessarily diagnosed. But that would be one that I would love to see for the sake of the women out there who struggle to get access. And I know that, pretty much every woman who has PCOS that gets on these medications are like, it fixed me. It fixed me, like, immediately. And so we hope to see that for everybody's sake. Accessibility is the name of the game, right? Like, if we can get enough of the medicine, it's like, how do we get it so we can all be paying $25 a month or, taking advantage.
How many times have you heard someone in your chat say, my doctor put me on metformin and it did nothing? I mean, a million and one times. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It's not an effective treatment, and they know what is an effective treatment, and people can't get access, and it's terrible.
Yeah. Thank you for the super sticker. Mimi in Australia watching on her lunch break over on Friday. Mimi watches us from the future over in Australia. This is a great conversation, man. I really appreciate you taking some time to come on and to share your story with us and a little bit of your time on your first Mounjaro anniversary. I'm so super, super happy for you and all the progress that you've made, and really glad that you took the leap to go out and put yourself out there, because I know that a ton of people identify with your content, with your heart and the humor with which you do it is so awesome. There's a couple people who I feel like do the humor part of it really well. You're obviously one of them. Kimmy Cycles. She's always sharing hilarious stuff too that makes me laugh out loud. So keep doing what you do. Keep at it. Excited to see what you do for the maintenance community, because I think that there's a really big void right now in content for people who are on that part of their journey. And so I'm excited to see what you and others do in that realm. Spoonie, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. I really appreciate that. Would greatly look forward to any content that you make in the realm of maintenance. So keep it up, man.
Thank you for having me. I love this.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, buddy. We'll catch you next time.
Have a good one.
See ya. Jack Lemay, TikTok sensation. You got to go over and check him out. I can't remember his name. Rewind it. You'll see what his name is over there. You got to check out his content. Really, really great content. Great guy. Super nice guy. Super hilarious. You're missing out if you're missing his content. This was a great show. It was great to be with you all tonight. We're going to jump on after the live here with our members. So members only live stream going after the show tonight for a little bit. So look forward to seeing you over there. We'll see if I can get one going. This was a really fun one. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you all. You all are the best part of what we do at OnThePen. You know that by now. Really looking forward to the next few weeks, hopefully dropping that book here shortly. We'll make sure that you're jumping over to onthepen.com to get announcements when that comes out. You want to be the first to know. But yeah, really looking forward to another great week. Keep that thumbs up button going, and make sure you share this somewhere. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button before you go, So until next week, may the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you and be so gracious to you. We will catch you next week on the pen.